Good morning. Well, it must be the minister in me, but I would like to take just a moment of silence for the occurrences that have transpired in El Paso and in Ohio just within the last day. Please join me in a moment of blessing from your heart. Amen. Today's message that I have to share with you is entitled, "What Have We Learned?" And that may sound a bit strange for me to ask that question of you because I haven't been here before to speak with you. But on another level that we may collectively call the spiritual path, we can ask that question because we have a background of relationship with each other. When I speak with people, and I have been in ministry for the last 19 years, in Sacramento, in Tennessee, in Arizona, most recently in Vancouver, we have this background of relationship around the spiritual path. And to distill that path down, because it is very diverse. You and I have a tremendous diversity in our approach to the spiritual path, and it is our divine right to do so. It's all about experience. It's all about choices. It's all about showing up and paying attention and responding in love and opening ourselves to a divine presence. But what I would choose to focus on today with you is that what we have learned is to become more consciously aware of the presence of God within us right now. To consciously, moment to moment, feel and know that this Spirit is with us every step of the way. And when we have occurrences in life that come up around situations like in El Paso or Ohio, we don't turn away. For me, it makes me feel more dedicated to the spiritual education of our souls, of our beings. It motivates me more to be about the work and the service, as the daily word pointed to this morning, of helpfulness and love for each other. Prior to the service today, I was present to the Buddhist service, and the intention was loving kindness. And if there's anything on the spiritual path that is so important, it is indeed loving kindness. So you may not have an intention for your life on a conscious level to have an ongoing intention for conscious knowing of God's presence in your moment-to-moment walk. You may just say, well, I just want to not feel so lonely in this life. I want to improve my prosperity. Or I want to have more beneficial, loving relationships. But I would suggest that that is indeed having a more conscious relationship with God within you. When I was in my early 20s, I met with a spiritual counselor that said, "Bruce, when God is revealed, man is healed." And I've always heeded that when we are aware of God's presence in our lives, there is tremendous healing. And that people act the way they do sometimes because of the sense of separation that we experience. And this comes and it goes, does it not? We feel close to God, and some days we wonder where it is. What did we do wrong? How can I get it back? Dr. Wayne Dyer, who passed just a few years ago, said there is a spiritual solution to every problem. So life is spiritual. It's not just a compartmentalized aspect of our lives. I would assert that everyone in this room has a conscious spiritual path. It is your discipline, it is your way to find your connection with your God. And that is what this is all about. We can come here, we can gather and listen to fine music and enjoy each other's fellowship before and after the service. But my intention, how I see you, is as souls. We are souls. So when I ask the question, what have we learned? I don't have to be here for a long period of time to ask that question. It is a soul question. What have we learned? Because within my heart of hearts of working with people year in and year out, Sunday after Sunday for the last 19 years, people come to me. We pray together. And there is a question, how can I get closer to God? And there is a premise that I operate from, is that I see myself initially, and then you as souls on an eternal journey, and that you and I are growing into the realization of what we truly are. And if we aren't focused on that, then it's more about just strictly emotionalism and feeling good. But the spiritual path is more than that. The spiritual path is about vulnerability. It's about allowing each other to have soul conversations about who and what we truly are. I asked this question on my last Sunday in Vancouver Unity, on April 30th. What have we learned? Because I had an open-ended contract up there, but after 2 years, my wife, Jennifer, and I were needed here. Her parents are 90 and 92, and they needed us. And so we responded and we came back. But I asked the congregation in Vancouver, what have we learned? And there was a gentleman there, a Robert Smith, who presented me with a gift. This. Because what we have learned, and this is a symbol that is pre-Christian. It exists in the hieroglyphs of Egypt and Persia and probably other faith traditions. But what he learned, he said, from me, from our time together there in Vancouver, was what this symbol represents. And what this symbol represents up here, and what the symbols represent at Unity Village above some of the doors there. It's the symbol of the winged soul. And that you and I are that winged soul, and that sometimes in our lives we feel tethered down. We feel tied down. We don't feel that we can fly. But the spiritual educational process is all about that. It's all about becoming untethered from the world, even within the context of tremendous suffering, tremendous challenge. And that the heart of the teachings is about divine remembrance. That we remember who we are and what we are. That is the core of the Christ teachings. And it's the core of the Buddhist teachings. I remember a story of the Buddha, Gautama Buddha, 2,600 years ago, being asked, "Are you the chosen one?" And he said, "No, I'm simply awake." And he spent the rest of his life, after he awakened, to help others awaken. Through a mindfulness, through a path of awakening. So we're having a soul conversation. Because on the level of soul, we can have that objectivity of who and what we are. We can be objective to the fact and truth that the Spirit of God is here and now. We can allow our senses and our personalities to be spiritualized. And that is the whole point of the teachings that I have realized over the last 45 years. Because when I first went into a Unity church, I was just 16 back in 1974. And I felt like I had come home. Anybody here ever have that feeling when you first came into a Unity service? I felt like I came home. Well, there is a homecoming that is taking place. We are coming home to ourselves. And sometimes when I speak with people pastorally in counseling, I give an analogy of a cup. I have a cup had a cup on my desk in Vancouver. And I said to people, you know, that cup is like us. That I found that cup in the dirt, half buried. And I picked it up, and I saw potential in that cup. So I washed it, cleansed it, made it suitable to be filled with new fluid, water, tea, whatever I wanted. And I said that that's an analogy for us. That when we allow our cup to be cleansed, it can then be filled with something beautiful, refreshing, and revitalizing. So this path, this spiritual path, is co-creative, as we say in Unity. We prepare ourselves to be filled with, as they say in Buddhism, the Dharma. And in Christianity, the grace. And that the grace within us is already there. You and I are already what we are seeking. It's just about uncovering it. It's uncovering that which we think we are. Letting go of the shame and blame and guilt and fear, so that that which is already there can come forth and be a blessing. I've been privileged for many, many years now to work with people on a very, very intimate level. And that's what I bring to Unity Temple. To be with people as you wake up, as we wake up together. Because we are all souls on an eternal path. And we are all loved beyond imagination. And it's just about allowing that to be known. I'm used to giving a 30-minute talk, and I have about 5 minutes left. So I have to be mindful of the structure and that which is the policy here. I need to respect it. So I want to just share a brief story that illustrates this whole process. So there was a man that was walking around in a zoo. He suddenly stopped, confused by the fact that there were huge elephants there, being held only by a small rope tied to their front leg. No chains, no cages. It was obvious that the elephants could at any time break away from their bonds, but for some reason they did not. He saw a trainer nearby and asked why these animals just stood there and made no attempt to get away. Well, the trainer said, when they were very young and much smaller, we used the same size rope to tie them, and at that age, it's enough to hold them. And as they grow up, they are conditioned to believe they cannot break away. They believe the rope can still hold them, so that they never try to break free. We have our training in this life. We are tethered by our beliefs. But as Michael Singer said in The Untethered Soul, this process is about questioning all of those beliefs so that you and I can once again rise and be the winged soul. Thank you.